Hi, this is Mr. Miller, and in this video we're going to discuss the discriminant. The discriminant is part of the quadratic formula, and really it's a number that we can calculate that will tell us if the quadratic equation has no solutions, one solution, or two solutions. Okay, here we go. So here we go. This is the quadratic formula right here, and the part that's called the discriminant is the part that's inside the square root. The b squared minus 4ac part. Okay, and it turns out that the sign of that number indicates how many real solutions our equation will have. Now, if this quantity inside the square root is negative, then we'll be taking a square root of a negative number, and there's no real answer to that. By real answer, I mean a number on the number line that has that square root. So if b squared minus 4ac, the part inside the square root, is less than 0, then the equation has no real solutions. Okay? If it's equal to 0, then we got to think this would just be 0, it'd be gone. It'd be opposite of b plus or minus 0, which is really the same thing whether you take the plus or the minus. So we really just get one solution, x equals the opposite of b over 2a. So there's just one real solution. And I'm going to abbreviate here. That means solution. Okay, well, what if it's positive? Okay. So if the discriminant is greater than 0, then this number has a square root, and we get the usual two answers. So if it's greater than 0, there are two real solutions. Okay, so just by looking at that number, we can predict how many solutions our equation will have. All right, so we're going to try this out here. Here's our equation, and we're not going to solve it. We're just going to find the discriminant. We're going to calculate b squared minus 4ac. So in this problem, a is 4, b is negative 1, and c is 2. So b squared would be parentheses negative 1 squared. We have minus 4 times 4 times 2. That's the discriminant. And if you calculate that, you get negative 31. So that means in the quadratic formula, the square root part would be taking the square root of a negative number. That means no real solutions. Okay, let's try this one. So b squared would be 6 squared minus 4 times a times c. And this time we're going to get positive 196. Okay, the discriminant is greater than 0, so there are going to be two real solutions. Okay, let's try this one. All right, 7 squared, that's b squared, minus 4 times a times c, and this time gives us 121. So again, there are two real numbers, two real solutions we'll get. All right, this next one illustrates something you might encounter. We have to rewrite this equation in standard form before we do the quadratic formula or look at the discriminant. So I'm going to have to add plus 7 on both sides. I'm actually going to write it up here to cancel that 7, and I'm also going to have to add 9x to cancel that 9x. So on the right side, I'm going to have my 10x squared I had already, and then I'm going to have plus 9x, because I added that to both sides, plus 7, and on the right side, we canceled all the things, we're going to have 0. So sometimes we're going to have to cancel some terms on the right side of the equation to get 0 there. Okay, now it's in standard form. And so if I find the discriminant, it would be 9 squared minus 4 times a, which is 10, times 7. And this time we get negative 199. So 0 solutions. No real solutions. Okay. Well, this last one, I need to move this, get rid of this -2. So I'm going to add 2 on both sides of the equations. On the left, I'm going to get 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. On the right, I'm going to get 0. Okay, it's in standard form. We're not interested in solving it. We just want to find how many solutions it has. So we're going to do b squared, which is 4 squared, minus 4 times a times c. And we get 16 minus 16, which is 0. So when the discriminant is 0, that means there is 1 real solution. So if this thing called the discriminant, if it's negative, there are no solutions. If it's equal to 0, there's 1 solution. If it's positive, there are 2 real solutions. Okay, this is the type of question that might come up. It says in the equation below, a is a real number, okay? And if the equation has no solutions, which of the following could be the value of a? So when we put one of these in for a, which one gives us an equation that has no solution? So I'm going to look at the discriminant. I'm going to take a look at b squared minus 4ac and what we have so far. But in order for there to be no solution, this needs to be less than 0. Okay, so when I substitute in for b, I get 8 squared minus 4, a we don't know, times c, and we want this less than 0. Okay, let me clean this up again. This is 64. 4 times 2 is 8, so minus 8a. We want that to be less than 0. We can solve this inequality, or we can use the answers here also. I'm going to go ahead and solve the inequality because I think sometimes you're going to have to do that. So I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides. And over here we get minus 8a is less than negative 64. And then we're going to divide by negative 8. And we got to remember something way back from algebra. When we're solving inequalities, if we divide by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality. So this is going to become, instead of a less than, it's going to become a greater than negative 64 over negative 8. So divided by a negative 8. And this is a greater than 8. So we need a to be larger than 8. So C doesn't work. A and B don't work. The answer is D. So any value of a that is greater than 8 is going to give us an equation that has no solution. All right, that was a real quick tour of the discriminant. But just calculate it, figure out its sign, and you'll be good. Take care.